Welcome to the Average Joe Show. This is a show for the average Joe that is anything but average. I'm your host, Joe Carrion. A lot of you are probably wondering what this is. This has been kind of a brainchild of mine for about a year. This is just a show where we're going to talk about the big issues. We don't want to mince words here. Keep in mind that anything that's talked about on this show are the opinions of myself and my guests. I am in no way telling any of you listeners what to think, what to believe, or what to do. So, okay. First of all, I want to thank all of our people who've supported this over the year. Building 9 Grill and Welsh Insurance here in Canton. We wouldn't be rolling right now without those two sponsors. So I really appreciate their support. For our opening episode, we have Bradford County Commissioner Doug McLinko is here with me. Doug, thank you for being here.
Hey, Joe, thanks for doing this. This is great.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. We got a lot to talk about. You just recently got done hosting Rally at the Rock.
Rally at the Rock, yep.
How'd that go?
It went real well. The high that we had with people is about 1,000. We had 750. It was a weekend after. It was it was 4th of July weekend. Traditionally the weekend after, but everybody will be going to convention in Milwaukee, myself included, so we had to have it. So it hurt attendance a little bit. We had 750 people there from all over the state, and it's a free event. What we did was a fellow by the name of Tom Whitehead and myself put it together because so many people that work in politics, they donate, they go to all these events, but for one day they have a free event. We raise the money for it. It costs about $25,000 to do. And when they come up our road or the driveway to the tent area, they don't spend a cent. There's no merchandising. But we've got all the major players from all over the state come in and they speak and they work the tables. Everything's under tent. It's been really, really successful.
Okay. So you getting ready to head to convention.
Yes.
What do you as a conservative expect to happen at convention this year? I know there's a lot going on with this election coming up. What are going to be the main goals at the convention you go to?
That's a good question. I'm a huge Trump guy, and the reason I'm a Trump guy is because, and I was a Trump guy before people were Trump people. You know, years ago I met a friend of mine, Michael Caputo, when at natural gas first started, and a guy that owned one of the co-founders of Home Depot. Bernie Marcus sent him down. He did a video on Bradford County. It was really good. It was called Border Town. It was what the video was. The guy's an expert. It was between Pennsylvania, where natural gas was booming, and across the border, New York State. So I got to meet him. He's was Trump's 2016 campaign guy. Was communication manager in. But even back, this is 2009. I was asking about Trump because I know he worked for him. I wanted a gunslinger. I wanted somebody to go into Washington and clean it out, like about the way our team did it in Bradford County when I first got elected. It was a freaking mess. There was no money, and I think we're going to talk a little bit about the government and how it should work. But I wanted somebody to do what we did, and that was in 2004. That was get rid of all the major department heads and get rid of a lot of dead weight and people that thought they were running the county and people that put it behind the 8 ball. And that's what I wanted from Trump. And he's tougher than I ever thought. But so when I go out there, I'm a Trump guy, but I don't suffer fools with a lot of these Republicans that are rhinos and they sit on the fence. And, it's just, so I'm not going out for a party. I'm going out to support Trump, and that's it.
Well, we appreciate everything that you do politically around here. What do you think the next few years look like for Bradford County? What can citizens of Bradford County expect? What are you guys working on?
So people that live, let me back up. Can I go back to the rally for 1 second? That puts Bradford County on the map. I had my buddy from different counties, bigger populated counties, will say to me, Doug, how do you get all these people in one shot to come to Bradford County? Like Dave McCormick, who, I'll be honest with you, I love Dave McCormick. In different state, Scott Wagner ran for governor. Still good friends with him. He flies his chopper up. We brought Dave Sunday up. Dave's a terrific. We need that attorney general seat. We need that U.S. Senate seat. I think we're going to be getting Dan Muser, our congressman, out here to Western Brad soon. G.T. Thompson. He's the Secretary of Agriculture. He was there. A lot of different people, state reps and all that stuff come. But what it does is it's about, as you know, it's about fellowship, it's about networking, and that gets Bradford County on the map bigger than people know. So I'm sorry I didn't want to back up and just say that, because there's a reason why we do that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the reason I asked that is I know you guys have a lot in the woodwork. You just had a new commissioner come in, Zach Gates. Yeah. He's a Democrat, so there's a little bit of a different dynamic there. How are things going with the three of you working together?
So what the future holds for Bradford County is, we're working on our dark fiber project. And the reason we did that, because I was just sick and tired of the crap. And I think that, Darrell was as well, from the federal and state government. They talk about rural broadband, how important it is, and then they don't help you. So we stepped up to the plate years ago, and this holds a lot with Bradford County, to answer your question. But with the middle mile project, which will be done here, I think within the next year, is that we'll have the dark fiber strung in different phases all through the county, which is a huge undertaking. Darren Roy has been doing a lot of that work, all the work, but we've got all the poles. To get the poles all leased is an incredible accomplishment with Penelec. They worked with us and stuff. But at any rate, so along with that goes all new towers and glass fiber to the towers, which is going to really help to spark to get internet to everybody, which spark home businesses, which will help with home education and all that. So that's the segment we're working on, that, and get cell phone service to all parts of the county. We're going to do planes, trains, and automobiles as far as internet goes, and that means whether it's a line, whether it's, you got Bradford Broadband does a terrific job on, getting it wireless broadband. So whatever we have to do to get it there, we're going to do that.
It sounds like there's a lot in the pipeline for Bradford County.
Yeah, and people say, well, I'm from be proud of Bradford County. I mean, Bradford County, I've been all over the state. We've got, when you look at, like our mills, Cummings has just had an awful with a setback of losing Lee, but also the fire that they had. From mills to plants to the largest beef producer on the East Coast at Cargill. I mean, when you look at Bluestone, agriculture, and then you put natural gas on top of it, don't sell our county short. We got a lot going on. It's a place to be really proud of. And compared to other counties are kind of envious of us. When you look at county government through all that, we've been able to eliminate our debt. We cut taxes. We haven't needed a tax increase since 2004. There was a small one that Mark Smith did in 2008, maybe. I don't know. It was a couple $100,000, and $1 million of county taxes is $1 million to show you how insignificant, of $300,000 tax increases. But we've held a line. It's tough, to hold a line on taxes because, as everybody in their home has seen, the economy is horrible, and the cost of getting out of bed in the morning costs you a ton of money just to get up. So, but be proud of our county and the people in it. It makes me mad when I hear people talk down about it. I love this county, and people that come here can't believe its beauty, how much we have going on as far as work, and just not even just the natural gas, but and then Western Brad. Both my great grandfathers were coal miners right up on Barkley Mountain and out through there. Very proud of that. So be proud of our county. A lot in store, a lot going on, and a lot of good people working, a lot of small businesses and large businesses that do a terrific job.
One town I think around here that's really been revitalized, I hope you might agree, is Troy. Troy is seeing a lot of new businesses coming in, and that town, it feels like, has really been on the uptick. And I don't know if you've read anything lately in any of the newspapers about what's going on in Canton. There's a lot of revolting, it seems, at these borough meetings. A lot of people kind of want to hold the local city officials accountable for what's not being done. There's been some issues with the pool not being opened. Yep. People are wondering about just a lot of stuff, and these meetings are getting packed with residents. Like, people are going, and they really want change from the leadership, and it kind of feels like leadership is digging their heels in. What can be done, do you think, in these small boroughs to affect change when it feels like there isn't any coming?
So one of the problems that I have with, and I'm a Republican, is I ran for Congress. I wasn't happy with our congressman. I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm going to run against him, and that's what we did, and we did well. We didn't win, but I think for not winning, we had some of the highest vote totals in the state that year. So people have to be vigilant. Hold your elected, hold me, I don't shy away from stuff. My cell phone is my county phone. Everything skips across my desk, my cell phone. I've talked to you all the time. I text you all the time. You text me. I want open government. I want to be honest. People might not agree with me, but too bad. But back to your borough council. America is run at the local level. I learned that a long time ago. It's townships, boroughs, school boards. It's all run there. And if you're not happy with your elected officials, then swap them out. And that's me included too. But I have not followed a lot in Canton, but I know there's a lot of controversy. We've reached out to, I've called Canton because the impact fee money and money that we've come upon is the people's money. It's everybody's money, not just the county, to try to help change over here. But if it's getting packed, that's good. However, hecklers that do nothing are there just to heckle is a pain in the backside too. If people come in, they have real strong desires for change in their community and make damn good sense, then that is good stuff.
Yeah. It's been tough. I got to ask you one question. Now, there has been a rumor that you were in contact with our borough manager over at the pool, that there was grant money on the table. Mm-hmm. What's the real story there? I know there's been a lot of things thrown around. I just kind of wanted to get your side of it and get it on the record.
Yeah. So, I know that there was some controversy to Burl. I don't know why the hell a borough manager's running their mouth anyway, to be honest. I don't understand that. If my chief clerk was doing that in a meeting, they'd be looking, and we have a good chief clerk, and she doesn't do it. But if she did do it, there would be change, I will tell you. I take so many calls, but I'll tell you, I called and I heard that, that the pool, this is a few years ago, that the pool needed help, and we had money. We're giving it to all throughout the county. I want Canton to get their fair share, in the borough. But I reached out and then I think there was something in the paper about there was controversy whether she returned my call or didn't. How the hell do I remember? I don't remember. But I'll tell you one thing. When borough managers, and one of the problems I think, if you want to get into this, and I think one of the problems at the local level is you cannot let, whether it's a secretary or a manager, you can't let them run the council. This is a microcosm of the problem of our country. When I got elected supervisor, which I absolutely love being a supervisor in Wysox Township, Jim Ward, who started in 1958 and never missed a meeting until he retired, maybe 10 years ago or so, the guy never missed a meeting, told me one thing, that bureaucrats run this country. And now it's really showing. So supervisors need to run their townships. Borough council needs to run their borough. You tell those people what to do. I know at the county level, that's what we do. We don't get into that. So I don't know what the controversy really was, and I want to be careful because I don't want to step on toes, but I'll tell you what the hell. If I make a call and say, hey, do you guys need money for something? They turn. I just went through this with another municipality. I'm not going to get into it, but I offered help. It's our money. It's not Doug's money. But we had it available to help a situation that they needed, and it's been a year now and nothing's been done. And if I was in that municipality, I'd be pissed. I can tell you that, because it's a big deal what it was. So so I don't know how to answer that question well, but I'm not a big fan of the I word. I hate the I word. And when I run for office, my people that I run with or that work with me get pissed because I don't take credit for stuff, because it's we. It's not I. And if I hear, whether it's an elected official, a borough manager, or a township secretary, or somebody working in county government that says I and my, it raises, that raises the hackles on the back of my neck.
What one of the big issues right now in Canton too is we can't seem to keep police officers on the force. Mm-hmm. There is the issue of pay. There's been some things thrown around about what goes on inside the office. What have you seen? You've been around a long time. What have you seen happen in other boroughs when kind of this struggle happens?
Well, the police departments, and this is, I'm pro-police 100%. I love our sheriff. He's right here from Canton. I look at him as a brother. We work well together, and so I'm pro-police. But they have gotten, it's gotten expensive, and I'm not knocking the police forces or anything, but it's gotten really expensive. And, So it's a real problem. And I know when you have Canton Borough or Troy Borough, where I don't even know if Troy has a police.
Troy's
department.
also struggling to keep police on the force as well right now.
They it's tough, and then when you have inside politics going on, it makes it even kind of harder.
Yeah. Where do you? We've talked about the whole off-street parking issue. I know Canton's kind of trying to get rid of on-street It's on-street parking, sorry, not off-street parking. You and I briefly talked about something that happened in another borough and how that affected it. Yeah. What did you see? What happened with that?
What the hell are they doing? I mean, so to Tawana, I got a parking ticket for $30 because I parked someplace where you have to download an app around the courthouse, and I did it because I'm in and out of the courthouse 100,000 times a day, and I have my own parking spot, but I just pulled in there, left my parking spot open, went in, I come out, and I got a $30 ticket. I was in business my whole life. You know what? And I get it that you don't want people plugging it up, apartments. I understand kind of, but on the same token, if you've got an empty downtown area when people drive through, it looks like there's nothing going on. You'd rather, honestly, it's just like when I had my business, our restaurant, we wanted a parking lot to look vibrant. When we were slow, we had our employees go park out in front of our building, so it looked like something was going on. But I know over there, I got people that will never go downtown again because of all this nonsense with, just put the meters back in. I don't know if that answers your question, but I do know that when you start screwing around with parking, you're asking, in my opinion, you're asking for trouble. So
okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I'm going to ask Doug about some questions about Bradford County election integrity. So just stay with us. Thank you. We're back here on the Average Joe Show. We are still here with Bradford County Commissioner Doug McLinko. Doug, I wanted to ask you about Bradford County election integrity. 4 years ago, I remember I got a couple calls about, I don't know what precinct it was, but a gentleman that I know told me that there were some ladies throwing some ballots around and saw some things and going into some trash cans. And the mail-in thing really kind of muddled things up 4 years ago.
It's worse.
Some people might.
Yeah, they didn't muddle it up. It screwed it up, and it cost. I'm started to butt in, but
go ahead. Absolutely,
balloting.
yeah.
So I was part of. And anybody that remembers Sean Parnell, American hero from Pittsburgh? He started it because Sean, and I will be on the record and tell you that election was crooked in 2020. Period. I don't want to hear it from anyone. Well, you're a denier. Yeah, okay. Call me what you want to call me, but let's look at the facts. Sean Parnell and Mike Kelly took it to the Supreme Court when he ran against Connor Lamb, and they got shot down because he thought there was basically problems over there. I don't know to talk about the steel or anything like that over there. I don't know it well enough, but I do know that he probably should have won that race, and they didn't hear him at the Supreme Court. I got to be friends with Sean Parnell. I mean, he's a combat vet. I love the guy. Called me up and asked me if I would want to take part in a lawsuit to sue the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Secretary of State, who at that time they were bad. Okay, and secretaries of state in Pennsylvania should be elected. 2/3 of the nation are elected, 1/3 of the nation are appointed. In my opinion, it's not like the United States Secretary of State. These people oversee the voting, but they report directly to the governor. I mean, how problematic is that? But we sued the Secretary of State in the Commonwealth of PA and Commonwealth Court on the constitutionality of Act 77. And Act 77 makes me freaking mad because those legislatures, there's only two that voted against it, a bunch of Democrats, but two Republicans voted against it. And one was Dave Zimmerman. The other.
For those who don't know, can you just briefly go into what Act 77
So Act 77 was basically the beginning of the mail-in voting ballots. In what Act 77, I can't go through the whole act with you, but I'll just give you the basis. It started the mail-in balloting. it took off the straight party ticket. So where you used to be able to go in and vote just straight Republican. And in fact, that hit this year in the county level for the first time. So your mail-in balloting was born with Act 77. And it's been jerked around, and the governor tweaked it. He'd run to the hack Supreme Court. It was all Democrats, all left-wing liberals, and they tweaked it till it was disgusting. But we sued them in Commonwealth Court, and Judge Levitt, you can still go read her opinion, walked you through the voting in Pennsylvania and why it was unconstitutional. And yet these legislators voted for it, all but two. These legislators still have none. They've got all their cutesy stuff they do. Oh, well, election integrity. We like the word election integrity. No, they should have been raising money. They should have been working their hind ends off to get that balloting back. In fact, when we saw we were going to win that case, we called people in the state legislature, Senate and House both, and told them, get ready to change the Constitution, because the constitutional amendment takes 2 sessions of the House and the Senate, has to be advertised. There's a direct way of doing it, but it takes 2 sessions to do it. They had time to do it, and they refused to do it, because quite frankly, they didn't like Trump, number one. They thought he was a drag on the ticket. But so it goes through, and now you get the mess that we got in 2020. And if anybody doesn't think there wasn't ballot harvesting, if anybody doesn't think there wasn't ballot box stuffing, you are freaking blind. So I had a buddy of mine that lives in Philadelphia, and he South Philly is where he lives. He was in North Philly. He worked for the administration in a lesser role, but nevertheless he was very tight with them. He called me up in the afternoon. I'll never forget it. Election day in 2020. He said, "Doug, I'm sitting here watching ballot stuffing. People bringing in arm loads, handfuls of ballots and stuffing them in there." And he said, "If I say anything, I'm going to get my ass kicked." That's exactly what he said.
That's
so
crazy.
Anybody that thinks that it was just legal and, if you say anything, you're a denier, you call me what you want to call me. But that was then, and unfortunately our state legislators never paid a price for it. Never paid a price. Do you realize, had that mail-in balloting not happened, let me back up just a little bit. They never one time came, not one legislature called me up and said, "Hey, what do you think about it?" And I'd say, "Well, I don't understand it," because it was all done in Harrisburg. So they never met with their boards of elections, which is the county commissioners. They never met with, whether it's Republican or Democrat county chairs in each county. Never met with them. Never met with the election directors in the state. Never asked anybody anything, just rammed it down our throat half-assed. It was unconstitutional. I think they knew it, and if they didn't, they should be ashamed of themselves. In fact, if I'd have done that at the county level, or you take a borough council or a supervisor would have made that big of a blunder for your commonwealth, they probably would have been demanded to resign in shame. And yet nothing. So okay, Doug, and look, we sued him. I was told to get out of my house if we were going to win. And I also was told that our carpet cleaner guy said, "Man, your driveway's full of screws." And no, it's not. I had 4 new Michelins on my new expedition that I had to get. They're throwing, all this crap. I don't care. You know what? I don't care. I got an uncle, the great uncle that's over in Korea that never came home. So if I can put my name as a plaintiff on a lawsuit to try to save this Commonwealth, I'll do it. So what do I think they should have done? What do I think should be done? We have it. Okay. But we need a tip of a spear. That state legislature should have been raising money. They should have been working with the state committee, with local committees, with some of these funders that are throughout the state, to get a war room together, to make sure there's technology driven, that there's orchestrated with one central location to do legal. Because I don't if we got to do it illegal, unfortunately, and so we got to do what the Democrats are doing. I'm not doing it. But nevertheless, it's going to take door to door. It's going to take press in the flesh. It's going to take all these things to get to where we need to be, because I don't believe it was. I don't think it was a fair election, and I'll leave it at that. Trouble is, it's in the past, so I don't like when the president talks about it. By the way, one of my buddies wrote the part of his speech that talks about one-day paper ballot, in-person voting. He wrote that part. There was a guy that, because after that, after that we won, we set up a nonprofit in Florida, and we went after Republicans. So that's a whole different story, but because of what they did, and it just makes me mad. So in Bradford County, as far as election integrity goes, I'm not worried about our county. I don't like the machines. I'm a paper ballot guy. I want to go back to paper ballots. It's not a big deal, folks. Don't get all twisted. We did it when I first got elected. We did it, and then came the Help America Vote Act, which I'm part of a new lawsuit suing the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, or the Secretary of State, who was just up here, was a nice guy. No, but so, but it's over the Help America Vote Act, and who gave us that was George Bush. That born the machines. We bought into it and bought them because at that time, back in 2004, when I first got elected, the scanners were terrible. They jam. If we were on paper ballots then, so to go to something, a marking device or whatever, we welcomed it. That's the worst mistake I ever made. I don't like these machines that we have now. And I expressed it to the people that we bought them from. They flew in their president from San Diego. Oh, these machines are flawless and all this crap. Well, they're marking devices. They're not hooked to the internet, folks, or whatever, but they're machines. And they'll tell you, well, they spit out a paper ballot. They'll print it out. It's a ticker. No, I want what those people touched and voted on. That's what I want, the hard copy. And then I find out that one barcode, you could vote in every precinct. This was last year. That you can, in every precinct, you can vote on every machine. Well, I thought you told me they were flawless. So what is it that we don't know, right? So we just need to go back to paper ballots. We have to have a scanner in each one. We can get through that. I got friends in other counties that do it. And then a central scanner, we can do that. But but our election office works very hard for honest elections. But the problem is Southeast PA. Let's just face it. That 2000 Mules was a real movie. It was, go ahead and I was never debunked. I'll call you names and everything else if you don't believe the election was rigged. So,
yeah, it's crazy. I think basically what you're saying is it sounds like if you want to make sure that things are good with your ballot, just show up and vote. Don't mail it in. Basically,
that
right?
Me, yeah, and because what our party is saying is, well, you got to vote by paper ballot. And Trump still doesn't say that. Well, here's the thing, most of us would show up in 10 feet of snow to vote in person. Now there is that if you get bad weather, there is that if you get sick, you already have it in. But the low propensity voters they talk about, we went after them here in the last election. My sister-in-law Wendy McLinko and Dick Harris, our chairman, they worked hard on reaching out to low propensity voters. They spent about $5,000 on it. It raised it up a couple of percentage, but you don't know how these people vote. You know who they are. And it's a real tough situation. We need to get to 1 day paper ballots in person done. In it, if it was a national holiday where they made voting, but to have this half-ass way that we do it now with mail-in voting and all this stuff, and still the state legislature controls that, and they've done jack shit. Excuse my language. And they need to step up to the plate. They when you listen to them, they talk a good game. It sounds wonderful. Oh, yay! The proof's in the pudding. What have you really done? You really have done nothing.
Right.
And then the speaker, that Brian Cutler, who's worthless. He was the Speaker of the House, and we had opportunities to do things, and he handed the gavel over to a minority party, a Democrat. As a county commissioner, I've been here a while. I have no idea what the hell it is they do. I'm just going to be honest with you. One thing they didn't need to screw up was our voting, and they did a nice job at it.
Well, I got to ask you this. Where are you at with the national election? How do you think it's going to go? Do you think that Trump has a shot, or do you see another 4 years of Biden?
Well, I'm going to tell you, our country can't do 4 years of Biden. if you go to a grocery store, and nobody knows who I am.
Did you watch the debate?
Oh my God!
So I kind of had to laugh when the CNN moderator went, a bag of groceries that cost $100 now costs $120. That's a far stretch.
That's a
it's
lie.
More like $200 to $300 more. It's crazy.
People are hurting, and they're hurting bad. Look at gas, $3.75. Are you kidding me? So this is all crap. These people live in ivory towers. I always said if Washington is the swamp, then Harrisburg's the wetlands. These people are out of freaking touch. And they need to really go back down and work with people at the local level and find out really, like where we work. That's what's cool about a county commissioner, township supervisor, borough council, is we work with our neighbors. My thing is everything from the cat, a tree, somebody calls you up in the morning, to a severe problem with a with a child in human services abuse there and things is just heart wrenching. I don't know what it is that some of these people do, but so to answer your question, on a national level, I think if what I hear at gas stations when you're just pumping gas and people will say we got to save our country, they don't know who the hell I am, not that I'm anybody, but I mean, I've met with Donald Trump. I know a lot of the national players and all this stuff, and they don't, but they know that something's wrong. And what kind of if Biden was a Republican, I would be taking shots at him. I never liked Joe Biden. We followed his whole career. It's a complete farce. And Obama's running it. Can we just call it what it is? Come on, the guy didn't know how to get off the stage. So I think if everything is done above board, Trump wins. But they're not going to. But we got to flood the zone, or it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. You talked about you met with Trump.
Yeah.
Can you tell us? You're one of the few people probably around who've actually met with Trump. What is the guy actually like? Because there's all this orange man bad and all the social media tropes. What's the guy actually like?
So a lot of people don't realize that the Trumps, like Eric and Don, they grew up hunting right across the border in Susquehanna County at Baker Morris Baker's place. And I have buddies that are in business with him. Actually, one of them is Bill Bockenberg, who's from Allentown, is a patriot. He was at the rally. He owns Lehigh Valley Sporting Clays, Camp Freedom, and he's in business with. So, I'm one step away from them, so I get an idea of what. And we took the cannon guys that fired cannons one year over to the my friend Kurt Cocadrilli's property, and Bill Bockenberg. They owned property together over there in Wayne County. And Don Jr., they love to shoot, and Eric, they're just regular people. And got to be around him and meet him. I met Eric a bunch of times, but Donald. So I was you got time for a story?
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, because I remember seeing pictures of you with him, and it was in Trump Tower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's he actually like?
Well, there's only 3 of us went there. It was over voter integrity. I mean, that's a cute little phrase from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. But we went down there, and so I was bear hunting up in Maine when we got the call that he wanted to meet with us, and it was my buddy Michael and Sam Faddis, who's a patriot. And you ought to have him on your program. He has orchestrated tens of thousands of people in Pennsylvania, patriot groups, and that's a tough undertaking. So the 3 of us went. Sam drove over. Michael flew up from Florida, and I was in Danforth, Maine, bear hunting. And I don't have any hobbies. I do. My son asked me if I wanted to go bear hunting. I said, yeah, I'll go bear hunting. And I got up there. I'm going, what the hell am I doing here?
Are you an avid sportsman? Do you hunt a lot?
I love guns and shoot. I like to watch my grandkids hunt around the house and my son. And I got 2 little boys at home. We'll see what they do. But yeah, we own a ton of guns. And I'm a Second Amendment guy through and all that, and love to hunt. But politics will swallow you up, and it's kind of done that to me. So my son, about a year before he went hunting. Actually, it was like in February. He said, hey, you want to go bear hunting up in Maine? I got a chance to, they have 3 spots open, and they had cancellations. I said, sure, I'll go. And then on the way to Maine in September, I'm going, what the hell am I going up here for? I don't have time for this. And I got up there and loved it. Randy Flannery and Sharon Flannery, they have a wonderful, they're wonderful outfitters, or Christians. I think he leases 500 square miles, half the size of Bradford County. He has 22 hunters there. My 8-year-old grandson got a bear. It was terrific.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm up there, and we get the call before we went up that Trump wanted to meet with us. So now I'm up in Danforth. I'm thinking, do I drive to New York? Do I fly to New York? How the hell do I get there? So the best way was to fly. So that morning, so it was on a Monday, we met with him on Tuesday. I actually was sitting there. This story has a little bit of meaning to it. You're in primitive blinds, or just brush pulled up, and you've got your you're looking for bears. But I had something come up the bank right next to me, and it's thick. Standing right next to my blind. I could hear it standing right there. If I had a bayonet, I could have stabbed it. But it was through the laid up poles and brush. And then it got behind. It was a chair just like this, and it got behind me, like right there. And I just couldn't get a shot at it. So anyway, I get up at 1:30 in the morning, go down to Bangor, get on an airplane, and the airplane broke down, and we had weather, and it rained, and we flew into LaGuardia, and everybody decides to crash in New York when it's raining, and I couldn't, I was just a long time getting to Trump Towers, but then it was when he got a special counsel for the raid, And remind me to tell you. You asked me about what he thought about the raid. This guy's tough. And so, at any rate, I get down there. They're up meeting with him, Sam and Michael, and this Sam Faddis. If you folks don't know who he is, you need to know who he is. He's a patriot. He's one tough hombre. He's him and his wife both were CIA operations officers, and he laid out a lot of groundwork. He's wrote books. He's tough. But they're up there, and he's texting me, "Are you there yet?" I get to LaGuardia. It's raining. I get over there, and of course, it kept getting pushed back, fortunately. So I got up there just after the meeting started. And I'm going to tell you, the Secret Service came down, took me up the elevator. You get off the elevator, and you turn the corner, and Trump is sitting at that iconic desk with Central Park behind him. And I walked in, and he is just flat cool. I mean, it's there. You know what? The one you see on television is pretty much what he's funny. You know, I mean, who the hell could be as tough as this? I mean, all these if people haven't really looked into these lawsuits, look into them because it's all crap. Sad part is you're one lawsuit away from destruction when you run for office. I don't care if you're a supervisor or commissioner, you know, because we sued the state and stuff, and you know, you always wonder.
Yeah, because they're always gonna try to dig up dirt on you, no matter who you are.
Well, they invented charges. I mean, really, falsifying business records, you know, and anybody that's done any reporting on your campaign finance, and even the guy at the federal, I forget what the acronym is, but he wouldn't take the case, and then it's just crap. But anyway, that's before this happened, but that was right after the raid. So, but anyway, I said, Mr. President, I'm not here for autographs. We're here to talk about the elections in Pennsylvania. And we had a nice, frank talk about it. And I said, they hate you, they hate us. And I'm not going to tell you the word I used. I said, they're a bunch of sissies, and they're not going to fix it, which they did not. And we just had a blunt talk, and he looked at those two guys, and he said, I like this guy. I'll endorse you for whatever you run for. That's what he told me.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible.
So, and we had a really good talk, and of course, Sam is just educated, and Michael's just smart as hell. I mean, these, you know, they're at a different level, and Michael in politics is at a completely different level. I mean, you know, it's the next step up. I mean, he has dinner with Tucker Carlson, and he knows. He hired Kellyanne Conway when he worked for Jack Kemp. He's in his, I think he might be 60 now. Really smart guy. But so anyway, the meeting got over, and he understood, you know, where Pennsylvania was at. The state legislature was going to do nothing, and he got, you know, Cutler and Seth Grove and all these people that talk a good game, but they didn't do anything to fix anything. It's just really a damn shame is what happened to our voting. And again, people don't worry about your votes in Bradford County. Worry about them in southeast Pennsylvania and down in Harrisburg, right down in the State Department. But so anyway, afterwards, he says to me, he goes, so you're up bear hunting? And I said, yeah. He goes, you get anything? And Eric walked in the room too. That was pretty cool, you know. And look, I'm not impressed with people. I don't care if they got money. It doesn't matter to me. But somebody that's that damn tough, yeah, I'm impressed with him. I knew he was tough when he ran, and I supported him. I sat with Steve Bannon and him down at the South Carolina Tea Party 2 weeks before the Iowa primary in 2016. 16 is when that election was, right?
What's he like off the cuff?
So to get to it. So he goes, you're bear hunting. So, because I've been around him before, but never like that around him, right? Because I was sitting with Bannon, and he's right there during the speech. Guys, everybody thinks he's all over the place. He is on message. Crazy as you might think he is, the guy never leaves him. That fake news was 2 weeks before the Iowa primary, and I'll tell you, I'd like to go back and tell you how tough this guy is and why he's risked his life for this country. So anyway, he goes, you're bear hunting, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, did you get anything? And I said, I just told him the story that I just told you. I said, yeah, I had one right next to me because stabbed with a bayonet, and I said it got behind me, and I couldn't get a shot. He goes, did that bother you? I go, well, hell no, I had a 300 Win Mag. I mean, I had my son's gun, and I said, nah, that gun didn't bother me. He goes, well, that would have bothered me. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Iran would like to take you out. You know, you got all these people that you have to, I worry about the president's life, and he was worried about a bear. It was funnier than hell. I said, nah, I said, actually, what would scare me is one of the guys had a big fisher right 6 feet from his face growling at him. And of course, they said, what's a fisher? And Sam goes, part of the Wolverine families. And all those Secret Service guys are Googling it. It was just funny to hear somebody that tough worried about a bear when he should be worried about probably his own safety.
Yeah, it just goes to show that there's a human element to these people. They're not just these political robots who are out to get you. You know, like I hate the whole narrative of Orange Man bad. This guy, from what it sounds like, he's genuinely intelligent, genuinely a good person, and
His gut instincts are real.
Yeah,
I mean, there's just, you look at his gut instinct politically, it's just insane. When he came down, he talked about who they're sending over the border. He's getting bashed for it. Well, guess what? That's exactly who they're sending over the border. So back to the South Carolina Tea Party. So it was a pretty small event. It was about 800 people. A guy by the name of Joe Dugan put it on, and Huckabee was there, and Ted Cruz was there. All the candidates were there to this. They all spoke. And like I said, I didn't know Steve Bannon, but I sat with Steve Bannon, and he was a moderator to it. And like when Trump spoke, he was right there. So the event got over with, and he had bodyguards then. And he did the whole fake news thing back then. And that was 2 weeks before the Iowa primary when he got elected. So when I was down in South Myrtle Beach, so I walked across the street, and it was a street about as wide as maybe Main Street here in Canton. And they held the traffic up for Trump to leave his entourage, and then they let everybody walk. Well, I was had my pickup parked in a 2-story old parking garage right across from the hotel. And I went up to my truck, and there were 2 snipers unloading their guns to protect that guy. That was in 2 weeks before the Iowa primary back then.
wow.
And I knew right then, you know, if they're worried about that, then this guy's put his life on the line for this country. You know, when I was asked to do the same, to be a plaintiff in that lawsuit, and what we're doing is we're suing over the violations of the Help America Vote Act and how people get registered, which we think we can win. And the part of the people that are doing is America First Legal with Stephen Miller. That's who's really supporting. In fact, when the tweet went out, Elon Musk was the first one to comment on our lawsuit. But when I was asked to do it, you know, a lot of people won't do it because they're afraid to do it. And I think if my president can sit in a courtroom in Manhattan and face going to jail over complete trumped up charges, which are garbage, then that's the least thing that I can do. And I have a great uncle that never came home from Korea as well. He lays up in North Korea, he's still MIA. But so at any rate, there's some Trump stories. But yeah, to talk to him is, and of course, then he's throwing hats out and signing everything. I got it. He gave me his Trump pen. I gave it to my mom, and he signed it. It was a new hat, and he signed it and gave it to me, gave it to my wife, and all that. But he's just really, I just enjoyed every minute of it. He's who I thought he was. He's loose, funnier than hell. His son Eric, I've been around Eric quite a bit at different events and stuff. They're very good kids, very disciplined, very polite. We were over to Wayne when they were shooting. They like doing long range shooting and stuff. So we're there. Kim Guilfoyle was there and all that. Just very, very down to earth, nice people.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to take one more quick break, and we'll be back with a couple more questions for Commissioner Doug McLinko. We'll be right back. Thank you. All right, well, we're back here with Commissioner Doug McLinko. Doug, we are just finishing up your story where you visited President Trump, and I think that was really cool to hear. It's not often that someone has been, toe to toe with that guy, because there's just so much information on him. I do want to ask you something that he has been putting out, though. I'm not sure if he supports it, but Project 2025. Have you read anything about that?
Very little. My daughter sent me something. My daughter lives in Asheville, so she's left of center. I love my daughter, but if I ever want her to hang up quick, I'll just tell her I love Donald Trump so much I'd kiss him on the lips, and that ends that conversation quick. But she sent me something up, and it's like I don't know. I had a chance. She just sent it to me. I looked at it. I don't know what it is. Okay. I think, I just don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I think I asked you, you don't really know which way the election is going to go, but you said by the way you've talked to people, it sounds like it's going to go Trump. Do you think that Biden's going to stay in the election? Because I've heard a lot of stuff.
We're supposed to have a press conference probably happened while you're doing this interview.
Okay.
So I don't know what that press conference was about, but I mean, it's the same. We're going to swap out with the same ideology and the same policies that are killing our $3.75 gasoline. Go look when you stay at the pumps. Look and see how people are paying for their gas. They either went in and gave them $20 and are squeaking by, or they're using a credit card. I mean, that's just and you talked about your, groceries are out of sight. If you go ahead and put them back in, I don't understand it. Is the hatred for, I thought under Trump, I get the mean tweets. Okay, get over it, right? You can go back through history and look at different people that would make you mad as far as what they say and do. But his policies are outstanding. Our gas was low. We're becoming energy independent, and that's a big thing. And
No new wars. We had no new wars.
Yeah.
First sitting president, I believe, to go to North Korea.
Yep.
And talk with their leader.
But energy independence for our county alone is huge. Well, we should be exporting natural gas, LNG. We should be, we should have pipelines going in, and and nothing. So I don't know. I think and then when you get into the attack on the Constitution and when you see the lawfare, and it's real, you got to just hope that, I don't know. So I hope.
Do you think that January 6th was actually an insurrection?
I was at January 6th. I got all the local libs tried to get me inside the Capitol and all that stuff. And I was there. And I'll tell you what, my brother and I walked around. I went down with a group of actually Christians there's 20 busloads went from our area. And none of us went near I wouldn't, first of all, I wouldn't went in the Capitol. I don't know why anybody did go in the Capitol. If anybody did that at the courthouse, they would not get away with it. But when we were there, I was walking around. I saw the skinheads. I saw all the people. There were people with motorcycle helmets and GoPros. Look, I've been to a lot of Trump rallies. They're not Trump people. And the president, I heard him say, peacefully walk down and peacefully, I heard him say that. He also was boring because he talked about the election statistics, and he said, do you want me to bore you? And I'll give you statistics. Well, he did. It was boring. So we were there. But inside of all of those people were troublemakers. And, we had all the riots and stuff in 2020 and all that all summer long. And so there was no surprise what happened. I believe it was instigated. I didn't go in the Capitol, wouldn't win the Capitol, didn't go down to the Capitol. But I knew the people that did went in peacefully. I know somebody that I was told from him that he went in through an open door. They welcomed him in, made him go out through a broken window. Now, what does that tell you? All right, it was a staged event, but there were bad actors there. And I saw them. When you got guys with tattoos on the side of their head, GoPros on their helmets, that's not Trump people.
Sounds like they were prepared
and quite
for something
frankly,
to happen.
let's be honest. Let's just be honest. That should have never happened. January 6th should have never happened if it wasn't for the damn mail-in votes that Harrisburg jammed down our throat, that nobody seemingly ever paid a price for it, maybe a couple, that should have never, we should have known who won that election right then, right? And that's January, that never should have ever been there. We should have known who the president was because you remember it drug out. So there's a whole bunch of things that went haywire, and I was there, and I heard him say all that. We listened to him, and we came home peacefully. So
yeah, well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens this November. That's for sure. I'm not sure if I'm leaning one way or the other. I don't know if that debate they scheduled was really the best thing for President Biden.
It was a setup. Why else would you have one in June? You want to go out, get the guy to go out there and make a fool out of himself, just like having him, his cognitive abilities. What planet is anybody? Just watch him, right?
Do you think they were trying to see whether he could actually go out and do it? So it was kind of a test.
I think they wanted him off the ticket so they knew what he was going to do. It was worse than I thought it was, though, to be honest with you. The other debate, he lied. Right? My friend was the third in a row and that's something that you ought to bring on. The third guy, not third in a row, but the third guy to look at that Hunter Biden laptop. It was real, and he told me it was worse than what's been reported. And he stood right there and lied about it. Something that serious, taken selling selling to the communist Chinese, the PLA. Are you kidding me? You know. And by the way, I mean, I want to talk about Dave McCormick really quick. Dave McCormick, if he was sitting at this table, you'd love that guy. He grew up in Columbia, and I'm just in a sales pitch. He won me over. But he grew up in Columbia County, down in Bloomsburg. He wrestled down there, went to Penn State. You see the video. But to say that he would fit in a deer or bear camp in Bradford County as well as anybody, you would not know the difference. And to me, you know, this guy went out, he made his money. He lives in Pittsburgh, but he is a Pennsylvanian through and through. Because we have, like Oz. Oz didn't live in Pennsylvania. I like Dr. Oz. I got to know him a little bit. He was really, I think he'd been fine. But McCormick is the real deal, and McCormick will do us a great, very, very, just like Dan Muser. Wait till you guys get a chance to understand. Dan is a doer. You know, I'll tell you, we got $1 million. First, since I've been a commissioner, the first that we've gotten any money like this, Dan's guy called me up and said, "Hey, Dan wanted me to give you a call. Do you guys have any need for $1 million?" I said, "Absolutely." And so we put it right into our dark fiber because we have to get high speed. And it doesn't matter. If there's other people come in here, then great. We're going to keep our head down, get it done. McCormick will be that guy. So just a bit of a little plug for Dave. But so at any rate,
yeah. Well, we'll shift gears here back to local level. Back in the winter, I think it was winter or it was last fall, Bradford County Library.
Oh boy, yeah.
Things have been kind of quiet on that front. I followed the story for a while. A lot came out on the Friends side. You were very vocal during the whole thing at the meetings that were held. Where do things currently stand? I know there was the committee that formed. Where's that at right now?
So let's just be honest. The very underutilized, over budgeted. You know, that thing is screaming towards a $500,000 budget with the bookmobile, and that bookmobile is never. We just bought the damn thing. Howard Smith gave a bunch of money for it. He's a friend of mine. He's passed, and I think Linda. I think maybe Linda just did as well, but she's in a nursing home. She hasn't. But so the bookmobile was never, but it's not utilized. And the Bradford County Library is over budgeted, underutilized terribly. You know, I thought all libraries ran that way. Well, they don't. So Daryl and I questioned the budget. Why wouldn't you? And so, but what turned me was the utilization of the handicapped people over there. So, you know, and you said that the people got packed, you know, here in Canton, and that's the way it should work. And I'll be honest with you, if something's over budget and underutilized, I'll close it. You know what? We took on county daycare. Everybody thought we were nuts, but we're the only county in the state of Pennsylvania that funded its own daycare. It doesn't mean I'm for subsidized daycare. My business, I had single moms that worked, and they went to college. They were superstars. So, but we shifted it to the private sector. So now you get to this library issue. Well, our library is not run like the rest of them in the rest of Pennsylvania, you know, as far as our systems and all that stuff. So, you know, you had your controversy, and of course, a couple of papers just absolutely freaking stretched. It was just crap. You had a handful, and where are all these volunteers now, right? Where'd they go? So you had a bunch of people that were screaming and hollering and hooting, and it was election time. I'd do it again during election time. Doesn't matter to me. It's the right thing to do. And but a lot of people, because we won the election, they made it about the election. We won the election, right? Daryl and I were put back in office. But the sad part about the whole thing was, first of all, they haven't let it go. You know, we got the same guy that comes over. I'm not going to mention his name, give him any notoriety, that has given more right to know request, bothered our chief clerk like she's done 30 or something, like over nothing. I mean, I'm all about open government. You know, that's why I use my cell phone. Anybody can call me any hour of the day and night. We talk. But what happened is at the end, you know, we're going to put the vets out there as well, and it was so vile that why in the hell would I put our veterans, our heroes, to that? And it still is, quite frankly. You know, there's some things going on that, you know, that I don't approve of. So we bought Leroy's building. We're going to put them in there. It's going to be really cool. It'll be paid for and all that. We're going to honor our veterans.
I think that was the sad thing through the whole thing, was it felt like it became the veterans pitted against the library, and that was never what I think it was originally intended to be.
Never. Never. In fact, I got to a point. So Daryl, there's Wyalusing High School put in a new library, and they downsized their collection, and it was more monitors, workstations. They had a lounge. It was more open. It was more technology driven. We went down and looked at it, and I walked in there, and I'm going, when we talked about repurposing the library, that is what I had in my head. I didn't know there was such a thing, but that's what I was thinking, more of a destination, you know. But that ship sailed, and these people, you know, they're coming in and they're yelling at us, calling us liars. I mean, it's like, what the hell is that? You know, we're the same people that cut your taxes, eliminated your debt. We're the same people that send $10,000 a year to all of our first responders every year to make sure maybe just once they could stay home with their families instead of fundraising. We're the same people that do uncommon things that most counties never do, and yet we're questioning a budget, and you guys are what? It was really, I was ready to fight over it. I mean, it was just terrible. And probably, to be honest with you, it should have been rebuilt, and just not rebuilt structuralized, but just, you know, so we put this committee together, which a lot of times is kind of a coward's way out of a political problem, but that's not what we were looking for. You know, everyone, we're going to do a committee, we'll shove this thing there, but that's not what it was at all. We had retired Command Sergeant Major Vern Perry was elected to run it. We had, you know, Henry Farley was a huge help. Why was he important? Because in Sayre, they have to have the Sayre municipality gives money to their Sayre library, and it's a requirement that they have, I think, 2 borough representatives on there. So that's very important. Heather Manchester did a good job from there. We had other people that, quite frankly, and then they sued them. Joe, they sued volunteers. Who in the hell sues volunteers?
The Friends of the Library.
The Friends of the Library. And by the way, the Friends of the Library, if you call our CFO, only has given about $700 in the last 15 years to go towards the budget. You know, and all of a sudden they're scrambling. It was all nonsense. It was all vulgar. You know, the library board that you read about today, they want new. It's an advisory board. It doesn't even need to be there. The last librarian didn't even listen to them. And to tell you how bad it is, you know, you're Green Free right here. They have a hell of a summer program for kids, but
my kids attend it and they love everything. You go Wednesday, they go Thursdays. It's a great program.
I believe in libraries. I want that hardcover left with AI and all this stuff coming down the pike. We need to have, but we got 9 in our county. That's unheard of. So, and let's remember what we wanted to do, and we will do it, is cut that budget down, get it back within its skin hour days wise, and then we want to take the rest of the money that we saved and distribute it and strengthen the other libraries. I mean, your librarian, the average librarian salary is about $38,000 a year. We had 2 librarians that were, I mean, the payroll over at that library was approaching $340,000 a year for payroll.
How many people are on staff there?
I forget. I was like 7 or 8. I don't know, but it's all I look at is $340,000, and I look at all these other libraries that are sucking wind trying to stay in existence. You know, we sent the libraries. We had money from all the printed money and stuff, and that Biden was shoving out. So last winter we sent all the libraries $1,500 to help with their heating bills because we knew they were struggling. And you would think we gave them the world. Well, we want to send real money to these libraries, right? So now you can't do it because we got all these jokers that were screaming and hooting and hollering. And then this committee, which was terrific, comes back with recommendations. And some of the people went in there. And of course, everybody's, well, you know, it's closed doors. Yeah, it should have been closed doors because the people were yelling at these people when they first got started. It was ridiculous. And these people were doing their civic duty for their community and their county, trying to look at how best can we keep our libraries funded and going, and what's the best use of that library. They did a terrific job. So we wanted to get a consultant. And I'm not a big guy on consultants, but we kind of need one here because, you know, you got your systems board, which Mary Campbell from right over here has headed up on it forever from Canton. And, you know, that needs to be looked at. Are we doing that right? And so Wayne County, we stumbled on to them because one of my friends is a Wayne County commissioner, and they have a whole bunch. They don't have 9, but they've got a bunch, I think 6 libraries. But what that county does is they give money to the systems board, the county does, and they distribute it. And that's the way it should be. That's why the Bradford County Library should be a 501c3. They should be a nonprofit. They should operate at the same level and the same funding streams that the rest of these libraries would, because there's some math to it on, how much money you get from the state and stuff. And they'll be fine. But it's hard to get there. And then so the first round, we didn't get any consultants to, because because there's so much controversy and hooting and hollering that there was too much for them to bite into. So we're gonna have to divide it out into 3 different segments and have it looked at. So, and then plus, let's be honest, you Google up Bradford County Libraries, you see all this yelling and hollering and all this vile stuff. Who's gonna want to come and do it? And it's the same 10 people. I mean, half these people. I mean, there was one lady who was yelling and hollering. She never even had a library card. It's like, what, But I can take it. I catch hell well. It's good, And
So where does it stand right now with the library? Is the library going to stay open, or is it going to be repurposed?
This is one commissioner. Okay. Because you got everybody wants a sunshine law and all this. Well, terrific. You know what? I'm not changing the way I do business. When people are in need in our county and they call me, and I can assure you, when John Sullivan's there and Ed Buston's there and Mark Smith was there and Daryl's been there with me for quite a while, when we solve problems, that's what we do. We're not going to go out and do anything illegal. We're not in a smoke-filled room. But if, like New Albany had when those floods were hitting, and their library washed out in the middle of Route 6, remember that? Or 220, I'm sorry. Call Andy Bishop up. I just talked to him. Call Andy, dug him on the way down. That guy dropped everything and went right down and cleaned that off the highway for those people. Then there's a sewer system flood. Andy puts right. I mean, these are the people we have in this county. One phone call, they're going to help. They're not saying, well, how much can I get or anything like that. When people are in need, that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to continue to do it. You're going to fight. Troy, when the flood was over there, I'm standing behind Hoover's Hardware, and there's a 10-inch sewer main sticking out. And it's eroding the bank. That's when that walkway fell down. Well, if Hoover's would have went in the creek, it went down to Railroad Street Bridge and it would have created a dam. It would have been horrible. So we found a way to get, the county got riprap over there. Fortunately, Mindorf, I think, was there, and they riprapped that and secured that bank for them. That's the kind of stuff that, a well-funded county can do when you're fiscally responsible. You can show up and do that stuff. And guess what, Joe? I don't know if somebody said, what are all the good things you did since you've been, we don't keep score. We have a problem, we deal with it. Now you got people that are questioning every damn, the sunshine law is like a $200 fine or something. And you know what? It doesn't pertain to about much that we do. But I know I got off rambling there, but on the library, but anyway, so we want to make sure our local libraries we can help fund them from where we're over budgeted, and make sure that they're stable and they stay there for everybody. But when you're spending $100 and some thousand on your librarian staff, and then you look at the average Bradford County Library is about $38,000 for the librarian. I mean, that starts right off terrible. So,
And that's why you guys had to look at it.
yeah. So, folks, when you're listening to this, just know that I support libraries. I did before we did that. But what I don't support is over budgeted, underutilized county government anything, period. And it's my job to question it. I'm elected by you to serve in county government for you. I'm not serving in county government to you. And that's where I think Harrisburg and a lot of them get in trouble that way, is they get elected and all of a sudden they're part of this government that serves back. No, I'm your representative, and I will question it every time. So whether it's popular
What did the committee come up with? What did they find?
I forget what recommendations, because they're all really good. It's basically, get a consultant and make sure that the systems board is running on 8 cylinders, and then to have the systems board, I think, operate the bookmobile, and then look at, I can't remember now, but the state now you can go down to 45 hours a week, which I think we should do immediately. And then you'd adjust your staffing accordingly. Now, you're going to have 2 people in that building because it is rural. But, it's the only library that nobody walks to. That's the other thing. I mean, this library here, kids can walk to it. Sarah Library, kids can walk to it. Wyalusing Library, kids can walk to it. So, anyway.
Have you guys seen a downturn in traffic in that library the last couple of years, in Bradford County Library?
Oh, yeah. It's, absolutely. And we looked at the numbers. The numbers didn't make sense. I'll leave it at that. but because they blended in the bookmobile numbers, and when you look at it, I'm just telling you, it just doesn't make sense. I'm not going to get into it and question anybody's integrity because they're probably not there, but it's not. It's underutilized. And I know I'll probably catch hell. Go ahead, give me hell. I don't care.
Well, we have a couple more minutes, Doug. Is there anything else you want to say or get on the record while we're here?
No, I mean, I love this county, and I'm not just saying that. I do. I mean, both my great granddads, my ones immigrated to Lakeland. My grandmother came over, met my grandfather there. It was a different arrangement back then. He was a coal miner. My grandfather, Archie Green, lived down in Franklandale, West Franklin. Proud coal miner. Worked with Red Whittick up on the hill and, up on the mountain. And so my roots here are like really strong. And Western Brad, I shot my first buck over here. So, all politicians say that to show that they belong. But no, I do. I just love this county. And it's a cool county. You should be proud of this county. And we've worked damn hard. We have a, when I look and see what we've done at county government when I first got elected, I mean, I think I told you, we replaced every major department head. It took me a little while to get through it, but we got rid of them. Bang, gone. And we've got good department heads now. And if they're not there. But we've got good departments. And they might not be the same political persuasion as I am, but you know what? They do their job. They do a good job at it. And if they don't, they're gone. That's that simple.
Well, Doug, I appreciate you being here for the first ever The Average Joe Show.
I think this is cool.
I appreciate your support through all this. If you folks have any issues with anything we've talked about, shoot me an email, ajshowpod@gmail.com. I'm happy to, I'll even read some questions on the next episode. Shoot me what you're thinking and I'll read it out loud. If you disagree with me or anything Doug has said, we'll read it out loud because we're here to facilitate a conversation. We're not here to just be one-sided, but...
Can we go right to that word disagree?
Yeah.
So when I first got elected, jail expansion was a big topic in 2004. And look, I'm a county commissioner.
Does this have to do with the shooting range that I hear so many rumors about?
I'd love to talk about that shooting range. I'm not going to back down on that either. But no, I mean, it was so back then it was bricks and mortar, but then we got into more of the, of programming like treatment courts and things like that. Now, look, I'm a cuff 'em and stuff, and we've got a terrific district attorney, folks, just so you know. Rich is going to do a great job. And Rich Wilson, I just talked to him on the way over here tonight, but the alternatives incarceration, because a lot of people in county jails are screw-ups. It's generational. They're back in there again. Look, if they're drug dealers, they need to go to state. You're going to see our district attorney. We got good judges, Judge Williams, Judge Byrne. I mean, you've got a good police force as far as putting people away. But what I learned most about jailing was from a guy that back then I actually was a fan of this president, but he had a "I hate George Bush" bumper sticker on his car. He was a lefty. We got to be terrific friends. But even though politically we found common ground we could agree on. So, and my point is, like when you flood the zone with going to Burl, just disagree. That is terrific. That's how you find common ground. But don't just disagree to be disagreeable. I mean, state your stuff. Look, you know what scares people, and especially maybe not the local level, but Harrisburg, monies and primaries. That's what scares them. So there you go. But I really appreciate you having me over. So I hope I made sense to people. If they disagree with anything we said, shoot Joe an email, and We'll be more than happy to discuss it.
ajshowpod@gmail.com. Find me on Facebook. I'm usually here in the newspaper office, too, if you want to come have a conversation. We hope you like this podcast. It's something new we're doing, so just give us some time. We're going to try to fine-tune it and everything, but this has been a kind of a brainchild of mine for about a year, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Got a beautiful studio. It's cool.
Thank you.
And I wish you well, because our county needs this.
Yeah, so... All right, folks, this has been The Average Joe Show. Thank you for being here. We will probably see you next week.